A DHL cargo plane crashed on approach to an airport in Lithuania's capital and skidded into a house Monday morning, killing a Spanish crew member, officials said. The cause of the accident is under investigation. A surveillance video from a nearby company showed the plane descending normally as it approached the airport, and then exploding into a huge ball of fire behind a building. The moment of impact could not be seen in the video. The head of the country's firefighting service said that the plane skidded a few hundred meters, and photos showed smoke rising from a damaged structure in an area of barren trees. Thankfully, despite the crash occurring in a residential area, no lives have been lost among the local population, Prime Minister Ingrida Šimonytė said after meeting with rescue officials. Rescue workers sealed off the area, and fragments of the plane in the company's trademark yellow color could be seen amid wreckage scattered across the crash site. The cargo aircraft was carrying 4 people when it crashed at 5:30 a.m. local time. One person, a Spanish citizen, was declared dead and the other 3 crew members, who were Spanish, German and Lithuanian citizens, were injured, said Ramūnas Matonis, the head of communications for Lithuanian police in an email. The DHL aircraft was operated by Swiftair, a Madrid-based contractor. Neither DHL nor Swiftair offered immediate comment. Residential infrastructure around the house was on fire, and the house was slightly damaged, but we managed to evacuate people, said Renatas Pozila, chief of the fire and rescue department.
Valentin Nalivaychenko, former head of the Security Service of Ukraine, states the US can block Russian systems like Kedra and Oreshnik from targeting Ukraine. We have powerful capabilities to combat Russian intermediate-range missiles. I will announce what can be said now. The US side has satellites and other technical equipment at its disposal, and we want the US to use it as soon as possible to protect Ukraine. This is to ensure that Russian targeting systems such as Kedra, Oreshnik, and others do not work on our territory, said the former head of the Security Service of Ukraine on Espresso TV. According to him, Russia is not inventing anything, but is taking Soviet missile designs and gradually modernizing them. The most vulnerable is the modernization of the guide heads, while the warhead and engines are Soviet junk, which unfortunately flies fast. The American side knows how to deal with this. We can and should start by blocking the ability of such Russian systems to strike targets on Ukrainian territory. Despite the fact that the transfer of power in the United States is underway, we need to work with the new American leadership because Putin's attacks like this force us not to relax. Putin is using the window of the transfer of power in the United States before the inauguration of the new president, stuffing everything with propaganda, even intimidating with an experimental missile. This means that we need to use this window as well, Valentin Nalyvaichenko emphasized. Recall on November the 21st, Russian forces launched an intercontinental ballistic missile along with Kinzhal and Kh-101 missiles at Ukraine. Ukrainian air defense destroyed 6 targets. The name of the Oreshnik missile is the code name of the research behind it, but its launch system is called Kedra, says the head of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, Kirill Budanov, at the discussion Genocidal Practices of Russia in Ukraine, from the Holodomor to the Russian-Ukrainian War. I have already explained. Yesterday, the Russian dictator openly stated in public that the Oreshnik missile was used. That's what he called it. Oreshnik is the name of the research. It's just a code for it. The system itself is called Kedra, Budanov said. According to him, this Russian system is experimental. It is a medium-range ballistic missile that carries nuclear weapons. It was probably used in a non-nuclear version. Now the experts are determining what kind of stuffing was there. I'll say it again, the missile is experimental. We knew for sure that 2 prototypes were supposed to be made by October, maybe a little more, but this is a prototype. Budanov said.
Ukraine's security service showed the Associated Press on Sunday wreckage of the new experimental ballistic missile, which struck a factory in the central Ukrainian city of Dnipro on Thursday. The missile fragments of the missile called Oreshnik, Russian for hazel tree, and which the Pentagon said is based on Russia's Rs-26 Rubesh intercontinental ballistic missile, have not been analyzed yet, security officials on site in an undisclosed location in Ukraine said. The AP and other media were able to see the fragments before they were analyzed. Charred, mangled wires and an ashy airframe the size of a large snow tire was all that remained of the weapon, which can carry either conventional or nuclear warheads. Ola, an expert with Ukraine's security service, said the fragments were found and taken away by investigators. It should be noted that this is the first time that the remains of such a missile have been discovered on the territory of Ukraine. That is, the specified object was not documented by investigators of the security service before, he said, speaking on condition that only his first name be used, in line with protocols. The specified missile is ballistic, moved along a ballistic trajectory, which was only affected by aerodynamic resistance, which resulted in damage to civilian infrastructure facilities and the infrastructure of the city of Dnipro in particular, he said. Ukraine's main intelligence directorate said it was fired from the 4th missile test range, Kapustin Yar, in Russia's Astrakhan region and flew for 15 minutes before striking Dnipro. The missile had 6 warheads, each carrying 6 submunitions. The peak speed reached was 11 Mach.